Hello?
Yes?
Hello?
Yes, Elazar? Yes. Yes, Elazar?
Hello?
Yes?
Hello. Go on.
Okay, Lamed Vav 36. Hasam Tanan Avaloas HaOitzer. The Amar Shmuel Mai Avaloas HaOitzer. What does it mean?
Yes, Alan.
You can't empty out the storehouse. Means Avalo Yigmor
Can't
HaOitzer.
hear you.
You should not unload the warehouse completely. Why? Because you'll get to the ground. You'll smooth out the impressions in the dirt. So hachamai. What about in the case of Shabbos? Do we say hasamu Shabbos to asr mishum dechamir? Shabbos is asr because it's chamer. Aval Yom Tov the kill, but Yom Tov which is more lenient. Maybe we're not concerned. Maybe Shapir Dami, we're not concerned to the gumos. Odil Mahasam Deka Bitul Besa Midrash, Amrit Lo, by Shabbos, where why do you want to clean out the oyster? Because you want the Talmidim to have a place to sit. Hacha by Yontif, the Leka Bitul Besa Midrash, Lakoshakin, that you would not be allowed to do it. In our mission, it says that you could lower fruit through a skylight on Yontif. V'amrav Nachman, Lo Shanola Ba'oso Achdak, in the same roof. Aval Migad Lagad, from roof to roof, low. B'tayin Amachi Emetatel Migad Lagad. You can't move it from roof to roof. Afilu Kishagag Goysein, even if the roofs are the same level. Hasamai. Do we say Kol Sheken Shabbos to Chamira? Certainly would be Asr on Shabbos because it's more Machmir Shabbos. Oidil Ma'achahu de Asr. Maybe only on Yontif it's also Mishum Yontif to kill the Asil Zuzube. We have the svara that since Yontif is not as strict as Shabbos, people will come to be Mezalzel Yontif. Of Shabbos to Chamir Velasil, but people know that the punishment of Shabbos is skila. People will not be Mezalzel. Maybe Shapir Dami. Maybe you'd be allowed to do it from Gag Gag. Oy Dilma, Mahacha the Hefsid Paris. Even by Yontif, where there was a loss of fruit, Amrit Lo, Hasan the Lek Hefsid Paris, it's just Bitul Beis HaMidrash, like Koshakin, that it would not be permitted. Then it says, Hachatanan Lo Yishal Shem B'Chebel B'Chaloynes. You shouldn't lower the fruit down with a rope through the window. The Lo Yoridim Derech Sulamas, or lower them through ladders. Hasamai, why? Hachab Yontif the Asr. It's Asr on Yontif to Lek Bitul Beis HaMidrash. There is no moving the fruit because people want to learn Torah. It's because of Hefsid Moment. Abel Shabbos Dika Bitul Beis HaMidrash Shapir Dami. Maybe you'd be allowed to do it on Shabbos because there it had to do with students. Oy Dilma, Hachadika Hefsid Paris Amrit Lo. On Yontif, where it was an issue of Hefsid, you said no. Hasim Delek Hefsid Paris Lakosha came that it would be no. So on all these questions, we don't resolve it. Mishnah said of Achasnas HaPeros, you can cover the Peros with a cloth or with a kli. Even not just food, but even bricks you can cover. Rabbi Yitzchak Omer Peros HaRu'uy.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes, I can't. We had a problem with the thing. Could we do Ben Yocheved? It's your choice tonight. Okay, thank you.
Say that again.
You want to do the Ilo Nishmat Yochev? Who is it? Alan. Alan. Unmute him. He's muted.
Who are we? Whose neshama are we learning?
I don't know. He muted himself. Yochevet
Okay.
ben somebody.
Okay.
Alan. Elazar. What's the name of who we doing it for? Who's neshama? Okay.
Okay. Rav Yitzchak Amar Peres HaRu'uyin. You can't cover bricks. You can only cover fruit that is roy to be eaten. V'oz Rav Yitzchak l'tamei. Dam Rav Yitzchak. Ein kli nitel elo davar nitel b'Shabbos. You can't move a kli to cover something that's muktzah. And bricks are muktzah. T'na'an mechazes haperos b'kelim. So let's learn a proof from our Mishnah. It says you're allowed to take a kli and cover peros. Peros in avir delivni lo. Implies fruit, yes, but not bricks. Where it says no raya. Who adin dafil avir delivni? Perhaps the Mishnah permits by the bricks. I did the Tana Reisha Mashil and Peros. Tana Sefer Nami Machasas Peros. Since the Reisha talked about Peros, the Sefer talks about Peros, but it's not Lav Dafka that we're only talking about Peros. Tanan, Chen Kadiyad, Chen Kadishem, which are also things that you eat or drink. So it seems to be against Rav Yitzchak, against the shita that you can cover bricks. We're talking about yain and shemen that are tevel, which are not roy. So you can cover that which is not roy because you can't eat it because you haven't given trumas and maestras. You would not be able. You would also, and yet you can cover it. You'd be able to cover bricks. It cannot mean jugs of wine that are mutter, because hatana reisha peros. You're already learning the reisha peros, which is also dover mutter. Why would you come and teach it to me a second time? Gemara says no, that's not a raya. The jugs of wine is the chiddush itself. Because I might have thought lehefsid meruba chashashu. You have payrolls. If you don't cover them, they're going to get ruined. So that's a big hefsid. But one jug of wine, that's the very little. Lehefsid muad loy chashashu. Kamash malan that you're allowed to cover them as well. Tana noisvin kli tachas adelav b'Shabbos. We said that you could put a pot underneath a leak of water on Shabbos. The delaf is not roy, but delaf are roy. We're talking about you could at least give the rainwater to an animal to eat. Toshma, here it says you can drape a mat over bricks on Shabbos. So l'chora, this seems to be proof, like the mandama that says even for a kli that's not roy. The Gemara answers the yatur mibinyan. No, these have been left over or separated from bricks that are used to build. The chazi lemizgalayu, and you can sit on these bricks like a chair. So therefore, it's a kli that's nitzel. Toshma portion machzos gabi avonim b'Shabbos. It says you can cover even rocks with a mat. So a rock is muktzah. The Gemara answers bavonim or karzelos, sharp rocks. The chazil beisakis. They used to use those rocks to clean themselves after going to the bathroom. Toshma. Porcelain machzas lagabi kaveres dvorim b'Shabbos. You have a beehive. You're allowed to cover the beehive with a mat on Shabbos. In the summer, because of the sun. The winter, because of the rain. As long as your kavana is not to trap the bees. Well, l'chura, this is also something that is muktzah. So how can you cover it? How can you take a kli to cover something that's muktzah? So nami de ikidvash. It's not muktzah because there's honey in this hive. The honey is food, which can be used. In the summer, there would be honey there, but if there's no honey in the rain, in the winter. So the Gemara says there is honey there. They left 2 honeycombs filled with honey during the winter so that the bees would survive on that. Yeah, but you designated for the bees, therefore it's clearly muktzah. We're talking about that you had in mind Erev Shabbos these honeycombs, so the honey was muchad. So what are you going to tell me about? So that if you did not prepare them in advance of Shabbos, what are you going to tell me? That this is prohibited? then why why did the Baraisa say that you have to have no kavana lotsu, which shouldn't be related to that? Liflog v'lisne, but he did. They could have already had a machlokas b'medvar. When you can cover it with a mat, if you had kavana for these honeycombs prior to Shabbos, you didn't have to come up with this thing about kavana litzud. So the Gemara says, "Hachi kamer." This I have to read the price. Afal pisha chishiv alein. Even though you were mazmin at erev Shabbos, you have to also have in mind v'vat shlo yiskavin lotzu. You can't have kavana to trap it. Abamayu kimta kirab Yehuda the Isle muktzah. Now, the whole issue of why you cannot cover something is because we have a din of muktzah. Well, that's Rabbi Yehuda. But Rabbi Yehuda holds dover shein iskavin is osir. So even if you didn't have kavana lotzu, it would be a problem, right? Amos sefer v'vat shlo yiskavin lotzu. Now, why does that work? Since you didn't have kavana to hunt, the Rab Shimon holds dover shein iskavin is mutter. So also Rab Shimon, dover shein iskavin mutter. Afraid to Gemara, you can't. The Tizbert Rab Shimon. You can't even learn it that it's Rab Shimon either, because v'ayabaya v'ravad amar tarvayu. Moed Rab Shimon seek ratio v'lo yomos. Yeah, Rab Shimon holds dover shein iskavin is permitted, but if something is going to happen 100%, no matter what, like you cut off the head of the chicken and you say, "Oh, I don't want to kill it. I want it for its blood." Well, that's a psik ratio. Psik ratio v'lo yomos. You cut off a chicken and say it's not going to die. Of course, it's going to die. So even Rab Shimon is going to be moide in those cases. Dover shein iskavin that it's going to be usher. So lo'olam kula Rabbi Yehudi, ein achanami. The whole thing is Rabbi Yehuda. Well, if it's Rabbi Yehuda, then how does not having kavana lotzud help you? On the ispe kave. There's windows, and you don't cover the windows completely, so therefore the bees have a way to get out. Because you're not going to be lotzud in that situation. It shouldn't be a complete trap where they can't get out of there. So the word says again, pshita, about the same of b'mino nitzod, osir, shelo b'mino nitzod mutter. Something that normally people trap. People normally don't trap bees. And maybe you would thought that even Rabbi Yehuda would hold that because it's unusual to trap bees, it would be permitted. Kamash Blan, that no, it's not permitted. It doesn't say in the summer and the winter. It says it says in the summer because of the sun. In the winter because of rain. We're talking about Yomi Nisan Yomi Tishrei. You have, it isn't a situation where there's no honey. No. On the first day of Tishrei and the first day of Nisan, it's not full summer and full winter. These are days that have sun and have rain, and there's honey available in every beehive at that period of time. The Mishnah said you can put a pot under a water leak on Shabbos. Tana. In the Smalaya Kli, if the Kli fills up with water, you can dump it and keep on doing it. The mill of a bay got rained in. Also came to Rabba. They went to Rabba to ask a question. Armalei, go bring your bed there. Because you're allowed to have a bed chamber pot where you go to the bathroom in and remove it. So this will be the same thing. Yeah, but a buy out of it. Yeah, if after the fact you have a graf shel rei that's filled with excrement, you can remove it, but you can't do it l'chatchila. Meanwhile, the mill collapsed. Amar tesili the avri ademor. I deserve that it collapsed. I didn't listen to Shmuel. Amar Shmuel, graf shel rei, the avid shalei raglaim. You have a chamber pot for either excrement or urine. Mutar loy tzin lach. You can take it out to the garbage. When you bring it back, put water in it to get rid of some of the smell. It's on Shabbos. Svormine graf shalreya agav mana in b'fnei below. Maybe you have to do it. You have to carry it with another kli. So tashma dahu achbartu dishtabach be'apars mikid Ravashi. There was a dead rat in the spice warehouse of Ravashi. Amalu Ravashi knocked the betzutzisa, but take it by its tail and throw it out. So you didn't have to do it agav mana. You could do it directly. Mishnah. Kol shechayav lo mishum shvus. If you're chayav on Shabbos, midrabbanan, not to do it on Shabbos, it's not osur midoraisa, it's osur midrabbanan. Or mishum reshus, which means there's a little bit of mitzvah, but not a big mitzvah. So it's like a davar reshus, but it's osur to do it because midrabbanan. Or you have something mishum mitzvah, it's mamish a mitzvah, but for example, blowing shofar, where the Torah told you not to do it, the Chacham said not to do it. All these cases, b'Shabbos chayav olam b'yontif. If you did any of these actions on yontif, you'd also be chayav, because you're not allowed to do them on yontif. And the Mishnah gives us details. Elu ein mishum shvus. The following things are asur midrabbanan. Lo oilin ba'ilan. You're not allowed to climb a tree. The Gemara will tell us why we have this gzeira. You can't ride an animal. You can't surf or sail on an ocean. You can't clap your hands or pound your hands against your thigh or dance. So all of these are shvusim on Shabbos. And it's also midrabbanan as well to do on Yom Reshus. Lo danim. You're not allowed to go to Beis Din on Shabbos. That's a gzeira midrabbanan. Lo makadshin. We don't give women kiddushin. V'lo choltzi. You don't do chlitzah. V'lo miyadmi. These are not dvar mitzvah because you have a choice. You don't have to be makadish a woman. You don't have to do yibum. Or you don't have to do chlitzah. These are all choices. Ve'elu mishum mitzvah. Lo magdishim. You can't be magdish something to the base of mikvah. Lo marichin, you can't take an erech vow and say, I want to give the value of that person to the base of me. Lo machrimim, chera means I'm giving away my assets to the base of me. Lo magbin truma meiser, you can't elevate trumas and meisers from food on Shabbos. And kol elu b'yontiv amru, kal v'chomer b'Shabbos. All of these are prohibited on yontiv and certainly on Shabbos. Ein ben yontiv l'Shabbos lo oichel nefesh b'uva. That preparation of food, that's permitted on Yom Tov and also on Shabbos. Now, lo oilin belina, why can't we climb a tree? You're going to pull a branch off. You're not allowed to do that on Shabbos. That's a malach. It's a gzeir that you're going to go outside 2,000 hours. Well, the gzeir has to be something that prevents you from doing it deraisa. Are you telling me therefore shmami not tchumin deraisa? Are you holding that the din of tchumin is deraisa? So the Gemara changes its mind as to the reason why we don't ride an animal. Again, we're also concerned you're going to pull off a branch from a tree in order to whip the animal to go faster. You can't surf or sail. You weave a bunch of barrels together. And I guess the weaving is what's prohibited. You can't clap or dance or pound your hand against your leg. Because maybe you'll fix a flute or a violin or a guitar to accompany yourself. A
lot of people on Shabbos don't hold by that.
What was that?
A lot of people on Shabbos.
Yeah, but you see people, they do this.
Yeah, but
They do this.
you don't see here. Anyway, you see
The
it.
Shulchan Aruch says in moichin kapayim. He says veini zorim b'zeh. We're not careful with that.
Exactly.
Al kol panim lo b'mokum simcha shel mitzvah. Vein mesapkin kaf al york. You don't put your hand on your thigh, and you don't dance. Aval noyagim lahakil b'rikud. The minig is to dance. Like you said, that we have a minig that you can. So, afraid to Gemara, what do you mean a rishus to judge? Well, mitzvah ka'avid, that's a mitzvah. Lo yitzricha the other minig, because there's a judge.
What I don't understand is how you mahakel, you go lemakel and the Mishnah is beferish not to do it. I don't understand.
Where do you talking about the minig that we do clap? What are you asking on? Walter, what are you asking?
I understand that people who are busy. Hey, you have it. You have a lot of stuff like that in shul. You have it in shul, in other places when you're singing. I remember in Kerem B'Yavne, we were singing, the guys used to clap tunes on the table.
The Shulchan Aruch says, Ein nizorn b'zeh.
I understand, but how does the Shulchan Aruch go against the Beferish Mishnah? The
Toisvis. If we learn through this Toisvis, the Toisvis allows you. So the Gemara has Rishonim that say that it's okay.
Yeah, but it's crazy against the Beferish Mishnah. You don't find that too often.
No, but there are cases like that. V'ha mitzvah ka'avid by Dan. It is a rishus because there's a judge. It's better than you. We also don't makadosh a woman. What do you mean? It's a mitzvah. V'hacha mitzvah ka'avid for pruvu. Lo tzricha de islay ishu. We're talking about a case where he already has another wife and children. So for him, it's just a rishus. Okay, so tomorrow we will learn at 7:30.